Football is back in Fayetteville as the Arkansas Razorbacks kick off their season against Arkansas Pine Bluff. We're talking about it, breaking it down, previewing it, predicting it, and everything in between. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Dave Shumate. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Go to MyBookie.ag, use promo code SECU at sign up to receive a special welcome offer on your first deposit. Again, guys, that's MyBookie.ag, promo code SECU to get your special welcome offer today. Like I mentioned, guys, we're breaking it down, previewing and predicting Arkansas against Arkansas Pine Bluff. The Razorbacks and Golden Lions will do battle in the first SEC game of the 2024 season. To get this season going, joining me, helping me do so, is my good friend, colleague, associate, Dave Shumate. He joins me as always. Dave, what's going on, my man? Appreciate you taking the time. We finally made it. Kickoff is here.
Sit here. We're kicking it off, baby, at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock.
I know.
It is why, because what we have, last year, the big Thursday night was Utah, Florida. I feel like we don't really have that this year, but I mean, we're just fired up to have football. I'm sure the people in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Arkansas just in general will be fired up. But remember, Arkansas has that random. They play in 5 different stadiums in 5 different weeks.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, it's. You know, I mentioned top of the show, kickoff in Fayetteville, but you're right. You correct me because you look at this game, Thursday, August the 29th, a 7:30 p.m. Eastern kick on ESPNU. The game is not in Fayetteville, Dave. To your point, it's in Little Rock, Arkansas at War Memorial Stadium. Arkansas, something that jumped out to me, Dave, a 52.5 point favorite. The over-under set at 58.5. So the folks in Vegas, they're seeing this as a big Arkansas win. They don't expect Arkansas Pine Bluff to score a lot. They might be right. More on that in a second. But I was surprised you could even bet on this game, Dave. But you can. Arkansas minus 52.5. Series history, Arkansas leads this thing 1-0. Only met once, and that was back in 2021 when Arkansas won the game 45-3. Dave, your thoughts on that initial line, by the way? 52.5 in a season opener. It's putting a lot of trust in the Hogs to come out and roll in week 1.
Yeah, 52.5, but it's probably right. I mean, Arkansas Pine Bluffs, no offense to them. They're not a good football team. They're not on the level of Arkansas from that standpoint. I think Arkansas is kind of that team that wants to come out with some juice. They're the only, them in Missouri, there's only 2 teams that kind of kick it off early. All eyes in the SEC will be on Arkansas. I think they're not going to try to run the score up on their fellow state brethren, but I think they're going to go try to, hey, let's go pad some stats. Because again, a lot of these guys get bonus incentives and stuff off what they do from a rushing statistic, or how many passing yards, how many points they average, or how many points they're giving up in their contracts. So a guy like Travis Williams, this could really help my average if we only give up 3 to 6 points, or heck, maybe we give up the big goose egg donut this year or against Arkansas Pine Bluff, and that could help. So, I mean, there's incentives there. You want to get off to a good start. There'll be a lot of people there fired up first game. Again, this isn't like it's the week before how we used to see the week before the big rivalry week in late November. There'll be people will be fired up here. It's a game. I mean, Arkansas is used to playing a game there once a year. I mean, have you ever been to this state? Have you ever been to?
I haven't.
Dude, it's a little tiny. It's barely an upper deck in this thing. There's really not a bad seat in the house. I only went there once. We played there in 2014 when I was at Georgia. We played them in Little Rock. But no, overall, though, I'm excited to see it. I mean, it's really, first of all, it's football. And I'm also just excited to see the Bobby Petrino project.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Dave, I mean, we've gone so long without football. I'm going to be watching Arkansas and Pine Bluff like it's the freaking Super Bowl. I don't care who they're playing, right? I mean, that's the truth, right? We're just excited football is back. Dave, before we dive into Arkansas, we understand this game is about the Hogs primarily, right? What they're going to do, not do, whatever. Let's meet the Golden Lions, highlight them really quickly. Their head coach, Alonzo Hampton, they are of the SWAC, in case you guys weren't familiar. Last year had a rough year. Went 2-9, 1-7 in conference play. Dave, they scored just 15 points per game a season ago. They gave up 33 points per game. They cycled through 3 quarterbacks. And get this, their punter led the FCS with 76 punts. That's not a stat you want to lead any level of football in.
That poor guy. That poor guy's probably not walking. He's probably
his right leg, I'm assuming right leg, was probably about to fall off. They do return hard-hitting linebacker Khalil Arnold this year, but like you mentioned, all due respect to Arkansas Pine Bluff, this feels like an impossible task. This game's all about Arkansas, which we're about to get into in just a second. So, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, they're hoping they get that extra 2 days prep before Oklahoma State. So they're like, I think they scheduled that, talking to my buddy, they're like, just to kind of like, yeah, we'll play that Thursday, whatever. It doesn't really affect us. I know we start fall camp a little early, but it gives us those 2 extra days to go prepare for. I mean, we'll talk about it another time, but that big non-conference matchup that next week in Stillwater.
So, Dave, as we dive into this ball game, some of the things we're looking for. Again, this game's all about Arkansas, right? It's not a question of if Arkansas doesn't win, we're going to be having some very, very interesting combos. But the Hogs are going to get the job done. It's really about, Dave, when you look at this game, we've spent months and months talking about it, previewing it, predicting it. We got excited about some things we saw in the spring. Now it's about seeing it play out and come to fruition. And I think it starts, Dave, when you talk about what you're looking for on the offensive side. Bobby Petrino's back in Fayetteville. We all know Taylen Green at the quarterback position. This is a guy he handpicked. I wonder, again, we kind of balk at that spread. Like, my goodness, are they really going to drop 50 in their first game? Maybe they make it a point to put up some fireworks and create some excitement and have something to feel good about on the offensive side going into that big non-conference game, like you mentioned, against Oklahoma State. It'll be a great opportunity for Taylen Green, no matter who the opponent is, to get his rhythm down, timing, hook up with his receivers, right? Get the offensive line, something to feel good about, and just have the offense humming, no matter who the opponent is, have the offense clicking going into Oklahoma State.
Yeah, with the lights on. I think they had their second scrimmage this afternoon today as we record this. But you're right. It's again, your opponent, it really, it's almost like a unnamed opponent at that point. It's like, hey, there's going to be people in the stands, more than we've had probably since our spring game. It's a real game. It's going to be packed at War Memorial, smaller stadium. Everybody's going to be fired up. You're right. Let's get lined up. Let's don't have a bunch of procedural penalties, some pre-snap penalties. Let's have a clean game. We're better than these guys. Let's go do what we want to do. But at the same time, let's don't go show a whole lot. Let's don't go put a lot on film to show Oklahoma State next week. You could see a bunch of bubbles, smoke screens. I feel like to guys like Andrew Armstrong, Tyrone Broden, maybe Tesla, they take a deep shot, Isaiah Satigna, stuff like that, maybe in a jet motion. But I'm with you. Just getting your feet wet. Let's limit the mistakes is really, if you're Bobby Petrino, Sam Pittman, that offense, and even the new offensive line coach, Eric Mateos, you're Cody Kennedy, the old line coach now at Mississippi State. Eric Mateos probably wants to see a good, clean operation across the board there. Because I think Arkansas does have weapons offensively. They're not going to show everything, and I don't blame them. And I don't think anybody who's a realistic football person expects that. But let's clean game, no penalties, no turnovers, and let's go handle business. And maybe we're sitting there, we're putting in the backup quarterback, maybe Malachi Singleton at quarterback there going to start the fourth quarter.
Dave, you mentioned it. How important in your mind is the offensive line having a positive performance? Because even in games like this, right, if you've got a shoddy O-line, sometimes it can show itself, and nobody wants to be the Debbie Downer after a big win. But, you've seen it, Dave, as much as any. Like, there are times where you can still get a really big win, but you saw some things that are concerning. How important is it in your mind for the offensive line after what happened last year to really get off to a good start, pave the way for a big day, protect their quarterback, and just have a positive grade outing, if you will?
Yeah, CB, you remember from week 0 last year. Remember Vanderbilt got the win against Hawaii last year? People, how could you forget? They had the crane in the background of the end zone. People don't forget that. But remember just the operation. You just watched Vanderbilt. You're like, yeah, they won, dude, but I do not feel good about that over-under 3.5 anymore. I don't know where they get many of these wins after Hawaii. I think they played Alabama State after that. So it's like you can, like you said, you can leave week 1, week 0, whenever you play after feeling good 1-0. You got that one win in the win column, but also kind of a sour taste like, man, they aren't that good. Or if it's an internal thing, like, man, we got a lot of things to work out. You just want to clean. And again, it goes back to last year too. The Florida-Utah first game. It's gonna be week 1, week 0. There's gonna be some things you have to clean up, obviously, naturally. But you don't want as we saw in the Florida game last year, all the false start penalties, like Damian George had an offensive line, or not enough men, too many men on the field on a 4th and 5, and it gives a team a first down and it extends their drive. Stuff like that, just killers that you can't have that'll get you beat when you get into league play. That stuff, I feel like you want to see that you cleaned up in fall camp and that you translate that more so than like, hey, yeah, man, we scored 70 points tonight. More like, hey, let's have a successful day on offense, successful day on defense. Just limit penalties, limit mistakes. Let's go clean up, and let's kind of get into what we really want to be as we get into that big non-conference game week 2.
Dave, on the defensive side of the football, anything in particular that you're looking for? You know, we know Travis Williams' defenses, they start fast. The big question is going to be this season, can they down the stretch when that schedule gets really, really difficult? You've mentioned they fade late for whatever reason. What are you looking for particularly in this game? Again, factor the opponent. You're not going to be able to draw conclusions or make defining statements, excuse me, about this team after this game. But, you know, I'm really looking for who's the new leader that's replacing Pooh Paul Jr. in the middle. I mean, that to me, I thought was a really, really big loss for them. But anything in particular you're looking for from the defensive side in this matchup?
I mean, Travis Williams, an aggressive guy, a player's coach. He played linebacker himself at Auburn. A bit of a younger guy. Everybody saw that viral video went out, him talking to the defense, rapping. That's him. I worked with him two or 3 years, 1 year at Auburn, 2 years at UCF. He's gonna go let his guys play week 1. That's kind of their mantra. He doesn't want them thinking a lot. He wants them playing. A guy I'm excited to see, and you hear stuff from talking to them over there. They're fired about Xavier Sorey, the linebacker. You mentioned, how do they replace Chris Pooh Paul? I think it's Sorey. I saw T-Will in his press conference said he talked to Glenn Schumann, as we all know, Georgia's defensive coordinator, and he talked about how Sorey, he's like, dude, Sorey's a great kid, great athlete. He's going to have a chance to go play quicker at Arkansas. Because, I mean, Georgia's linebackers are loaded. I mean, Small, Munden, C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, guys like that. So I think the loss of Pooh Paul may not be as big as even myself expected or anticipated back in the spring. So I'm hearing Sorey is kind of the guy flashing a lot, even including some of the offensive guys when you ask him who's been showing out in fall camp. So I'm excited to see him, especially from a defensive coordinator who is a linebacker himself, coaches that linebacker room. So I'm excited to see the development of Xavier Sorey in that week 1.
So, Dave, let's lock in some predictions as Arkansas takes on Arkansas Pine Bluff. Again, the Hogs are a 52.5-point favorite. The over-under 58.5. I'm going to assume, Dave, you're not picking the upset. So give me your thoughts. How does this one play out? If you got a score in mind, how does this one play out for Arkansas?
I'm going to go 58-6. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff scores but misses an extra point.
So you've got Arkansas Pine Bluff covering little backdoor cover action.
Plus
action. 52.5.
Late in the game, the boys have the walk-ons out there, and somebody just misaligns, doesn't fill their gap, and off is Pine Bluff.
So 58-6, you've got Hogs roll. I think the Hogs roll as well, Dave. I mean, again, it's Arkansas Pine Bluff, all due respect to them, was not a good football team last year. They're probably not going to be a good football team this year. It's a complete mismatch when it comes to talent. This game's all about Arkansas getting their stuff in order, right? Game 1, make sure there's not too many loose ends, putting things on tape you can improve on from week 1 to week 2. It's all about the Hogs. I will say this, Dave. This won't probably be an official play for me because taking plus 52.5 just isn't fun for anybody.
I mean, you're going to be chewing on your nails to the very end.
Right. It's just not fun for anybody. But I tell you, I think it's a lot. I mean, I think it's a lot because essentially what you're banking on, Dave, if I leave Taylen Green in the ball game and Bobby Petrino's dialing it up with the same aggressiveness as he is early in the game all throughout the game, sure, Arkansas could probably name their score in this one. But that's probably not going to happen. We're probably going to see in the second half some backups, some other guys get in the game. So you're banking on are the backups going to come in and score at will as well. I've got Arkansas winning this game 48-6. I mean, Dave, similar to what you have, I think it's, again, name your score for Arkansas. I'm curious. I think they're going to want to put up offensive fireworks, obviously, build up confidence with Taylen Green, get it to these wide receivers, right, get them involved. I think running the football, though, going to be a big priority. Again, getting the offensive line gelling, feeling good. I mean, I feel like this is a game, Dave. I don't care who the opponent is. If you can go out there and run for 250 or 300 yards, that's something you like to do. You just build confidence. Yeah, you hang your hat, build confidence, feel good. You got the Okie State game upcoming. And then I think defensively, obviously, I mean, listen, Arkansas Pine Bluff scored 15 points per game. That was against the competition. They play in the SWAC. I'd be surprised if they get into the end zone in this ball game. So I've got Arkansas 48-6. You've got the Hogs 58-6. Either way, football is back. Arkansas, Pine Bluff doing battle in Little Rock. How do you guys think this game plays out? What are your predictions as the Hogs and Golden Lions do battle? Guys, that's going to do all for us. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.